Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the call today. Let's just quickly wait for a speaker to join. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to post them here. Some additional questions that you want us to discuss. Uh, and once again, thank you so much. Just a quick confirmation: am I audible to you all? You can say yes, no, maybe on the chat. Awesome, Shruti. Hey, thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining the call today, Shruti. Great, I'm audible. So let's just quickly wait for Saurav as well to join. And I see a couple other folks here as well. Good afternoon, Amit. Good afternoon, Atul. Good afternoon, Janice Thomas. Thank you so much for making it to the call today. Let's just quickly wait for like another 5-10 minutes, right? We are way ahead of schedule right now. The call starts at 3 p.m. All right then. Awesome. All right then. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, firstly, for joining the webinar today. My name is Rahul Raj, and welcome to our webinar on NAV to Business Central migration and why consider the switch. And we're glad to have all of you here. And alongside me, we have Saurav, Mr. Saurav Dhyani. He is an MS365 Dynamics BC expert, right, and founder of Ed Hat Consulting. With deep experience in NAV to BC, Saurav closely works with organizations across the globe, and he mainly helps in modernizing, the legacy ERP systems, and build scalability across different industries. Right. So thank you so much for joining the call today, Saurav. And to everyone who have joined here, Saurav is an amazing guy. He also has a YouTube channel. Do check it out. He shares a lot of tips and tricks, hacks for Business Central, and his YouTube channel name is Saurav Dhyani. So please do check that out. And again, once again, thank you so much for joining the call, Saurav. Hope you're having a good day today.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. I'm happy to be here. And yeah,
Awesome.
it's always good to talk about Business Central, specifically about upgrade, because that's need of the hour to be on the latest and greatest version. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So I will quickly start off with the first question for you. I'll
Okay.
just shoot the question at you, Saurabh. Right. So I think this is one question you might be hearing a lot, and something what we've been hearing a lot. Whenever we do the sales pitch, right? So whenever the sales team they reach out to these folks, uh, when we approach the audience for initiating the upgrade, one main question that we keep getting from them is why should we consider a move from NAV to Business Central? So do you wanna take that up, Saurabh?
Yeah, and I guess let's be very clear. If in audience, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to add them in Q&A. I guess rather than moving forward to your future questions, if we can stay relevant question together, we'll kind of do that, right? So why should I upgrade to Business Central? And it's not just about the Business Central. It's always been a question that why should I spend my money into upgrading my ERP solution, right? Now, being on NAV is not a problem. It's a product, but we need to understand, like any other product, it comes up with a life cycle. For all the NAV versions, and surprisingly for quite a few Business Central versions, the mainstream support from Microsoft has ended, which means if there are regulatory compliances, your regional compliances, or security patches on the versions which will be released by Microsoft, will not be released for the versions which are not in mainstream support. So as of today, the new Microsoft Lifecycle Policy supports three versions in mainstream support, and anything other than that is out of mainstream support. Now, as ERP is core of your business, it has certain constraints around your regional compliances. Like in India, there has been a lot of changes in GST and TDS and TCS features. You'll not be getting those if you are in Dynamics NAV. Plus, this is something that I learned from Microsoft, that if people don't upgrade from the legacy versions, there is a heavy chance that they leave the product because they don't see the latest and the greatest feature which are available in this segment of ERP, not just Business Center, right? So if everybody is talking about SaaS today, you're still on NAV. If everybody is talking about AI today, you're still on NAV, missing on all those key features. Plus, it's a shift. It surely is a shift. I understand from a customer perspective, it takes a lot of time to switch from a legacy system that you have worked for 20 years, 30 years, whatever your timeline is, to a modern system where everything from a user interface to how things are done have changed. But you can apply that rule in anything that you do in your life. Think about your mobile phone changes or upgrades. Think about your Windows operating system upgrades. Think about your car upgrades. You have to kind of keep updating your tools so that you stay relevant with the market. So it's a need of our. It's something that's important. It may not sound interesting at the beginning, but when you see capabilities that are available in future, it becomes essence to kind of keep running your business as with the compliances and other things.
Got it. Awesome, Saurabh. Right. So you did start off the conversation with one important point, I would say, that is compliance. Right. So I'm sure you know where I'm heading with this. Right. So we all know that the main issue it's not with the operational challenges, but rather I would say the regulatory changes over there. Right. So how are regulatory updates like GST schema, e-invoicing, some points that you highlighted, so how is mainly compliance going to be affecting if you decide to stick with NAV?
Yeah. So from a compliances perspective, it differs from country to country. As we are talking about India, GST compliances are
Mhm.
still uh, kind of being finalized by government. And as any regional compliance has been updating by those country rules, the product need to support those for your business. Now, when we talk about India, I'm pretty sure there are most of the customer who are able to kind of work with their partner or individual developer. They have to port back those features from Business Central to NAV. But remember this, that what you're doing is you're over kind of you're adding more to your bucket for your future upgrades, because the compliances will only be supported by Microsoft on the mainstream support product versions, which as of today is 27, 26, and 25. So any change, let's say if government changes something today, that will be available in the latest and the mainstream supported version, but will not be downported back to NAV. Now, yes, there are partners who can help you to kind of downport those features, but then you're waiting for a feature from government which cannot be implemented in NAV, which will either put you in a position where you'll have to pay a fine because you are not complying with the government requirements, or you will be at a point where you want an upgrade in next 2 weeks, which is impossible from an NAV perspective. So, like, there is one thing that we see with the updates that we do for Indian customer is this e-filing, which has been downported for most of the customers that we upgrade. And then it's a base Microsoft feature now because it's in the supported version. So we also need to understand that when you work with your partner to downport a feature from the latest version to your current version, you also have a risk of moving that legacy data to the standard Microsoft structure, which is nearly impossible. So you have a chance that where you lose the history even if you downport it. So compliance changes not just impact your business, but it also impacts of your historical data after you do an upgrade. So it becomes very important that you stay on the current version. And then in Business Central world, staying current is more simpler than leaving behind. So once you take this transition, I call this as your last big upgrade. From NAV to Business Central is your last big upgrade, where you transition from a legacy NAV system to the modern Business Central system, where upgrades are super simple. They are not time consuming. They save a lot of time. You always stay in compliance with all the requirements that you have. So I guess, yeah, if you have any other specific questions, we can surely talk about it.
Got it. So we have a question in the chat from Mr. Atul Saurabh, right? So
Okay.
how are statutory and internal audit requirements met during the transition? Will there be any effect, when it comes to the migration part?
Yeah, and surprisingly, a similar question I got on LinkedIn day before yesterday around
Okay.
the localization feature. Now, we need to understand from an upgrade perspective, there are multiple parties involved, right? So the first party who owns the application is Microsoft. They take care of the core application plus your localization features like GST, TDS, TCS, and others. And then the second party is if you're using an ISV, and third is your partner who will be performing upgrade for you. Now, each party, whenever they make change in their application, sorry, either due to regulatory changes or due to performance improvement, they make sure that they build a path to update your data. So when you move from legacy NAV to a Business Central version, Microsoft have a very detailed path written, which will be performed by your partner, which will take all your legacy data from the legacy system to the modern system. So you don't have to kind of worry about it. All data will move forward to your future version, and you don't have to worry about how my data is being moved. As far as auditing is auditing is concerned, your data remain intact as it is. So you don't, there is no deletion of data that's happening. From an auditing perspective, the data will be retained as it is. And after your upgrade, Business Central have more audit controls than what you had in NAV back then. So I guess that'll make it more simple. Hopefully, Atul, I have answered your question. Not, I guess you can ask that again.
So thank you so much, Atul, for the question, and I hope Sarah was able to answer. And for the remaining folks out there, please feel free to use the chat section or the Q&A session to ask any questions that you might have. Right. So moving on, Saurav. Right. So I believe we covered, couple of points when it comes to compliance, auditing, and so on. Right. So one important question, what I see personally, and something that I've been hearing personally right now. Right now, say for example, if I am CEO of a startup, say 30, 40 employees, right, and again, one common thing that I keep hearing is whom should I be, be holding accountable? Like who should be taking the ownership of the entire, the e-security patches, right? Maintaining the entire infrastructure and so on, right? So whom should the ownership be, and like whom should we be, holding accountable for this?
So this is from any sorry NAV perspective or Business Central.
Both NAV and Business Central, right? So, say if I am currently using, NAV right now, right, and it is, the responsibility of, say my IT manager to, come up to me and tell me, Rahul, you should be considering Business Central. The entire infrastructure is getting outdated and so on, right? So, would love to hear your perspective on this, Saurabh.
Yeah, so from an infrastructure perspective, it's surely an ID manager responsibility. But then when we think about Business Central, there are two variants available that you can either stay on-prem or you can opt in for cloud, right? Now, if people remember, there had been a lot of ransomware attack during the COVID era or after that time. A lot of companies had been hit by ransomware because of the security compliances and having their data on their brick and mortar servers in-house. Now, as the product is moving toward future, there has been changes that has been done to kind of expose data for external integration. And as soon as you try to do it within the boundaries of your organization in your own server, which is on-prem majorly, then you or your IT manager holds the responsibility of making sure that everything is being covered, tried and tested. There has been disaster recovery scenarios, failover scenarios that has been built in. But then when you think about Business Central Cloud, then that onus moves to Microsoft. They'll have to take care of your security protocols, latest security patches on the server, your database disaster recovery scenarios, and all that scenarios will be covered by Microsoft. In that case, that responsibility moves from your local IT manager to Microsoft at that point.
Understood. Got it, Saurabh. So, oh yeah, we have more questions coming in the chat. Right. So we have a question from Riyaz Salim. So he says, with the BC V27 Plus out there, the upgrade path seems very tedious. Why can't Microsoft offer some automated scripts from at least BC14 onwards, and after tedious NAV 2018 to BC14 upgrade? Or is there any official ones already, especially for on-premise installations? A really good question there, Riyaz.
So, okay. Andreas, do send me a follow-up question if this doesn't answer your question. If you look from an overall perspective, upgrade may sound tedious. But if you kind of understand how Microsoft does it or what an upgrade process look like, it's actually not that big or it's not that complex. As far as from an automation perspective, once you cross the hump of CAL customization to an AL extension, which you can do on BC14. So if you cross that hump in BC14, then your upgrade can literally be automated. Now, let me tell you why I'm saying this. Microsoft has been doing it every month for all 4,000 plus customers in SaaS without any errors, right? So I'm pretty sure there's nobody sitting on Microsoft Office who is looking on every SaaS customer and saying, oh, now March started, let's start upgrading them. So nobody is going to manually run those processes. They surely have automated scripts which are doing it, but those scripts will only work once you cross the hump of moving from CAL customization to AL extension. Now, can you build them in-house? Yes, you can. We in our organization, we don't do them manually. We have PowerShell script which can automate your upgrade in on-prem environment from an AL version, let's say BC15, to all the way to BC27. The reason why it is a little bit complex to do it on-prem, because your server changes, your configuration changes, you have to manually switch your services and all. But other than that, it's actually a simple PowerShell script which you can run from a version to another version. And as mentioned earlier, I do run a YouTube channel, as Rahul was saying. There's an upgrade playlist where I show some snippet of how you do that. You know, it's not complete what we do internally. I can't share that, but some snippet of it I have shared on those videos, and those PowerShell script are also available on my GitHub. So you can always go there and use them if that works for you. But once you're on Business Central, upgrades are not any complex. Yes, there is a little bit of pain moving from BC14 to an AL version. But that being said, if you understand how upgrades are performed and why you are doing whatever you are doing, then it's super simple to kind of execute it.
So I hope. So yeah, we got another comment from Riyaz. So it's actually Riyadh. Actually, so thank you. Actually, I've been following your so many videos and recent discussion with Sri Lankan fans. And his name is Riyadh, and he's from Colombo. Thank you so much, Riyadh, for that wonderful question, and I hope Saurav was able to answer that for you. Right. And up next, Saurav, we have another question in the chat. To be honest, Nilanjan, so this is actually my next question, right? So can we all retain old NAV data, right? So this is something again, I'll club this question again real quick for you, Saurav, right? So we recently ran this poll on LinkedIn, right? I'll just open that up real quick. And yeah, so NAV to Business Central migration is inevitable for many companies. So right now we have a question from Nilanjan, right? So can we retain all this, old NAV data, Saurav?
Yeah. So when it comes down to
am I audible? Hello.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Saurav, am I audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Just give me a moment. Let me open the door. 1 minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. We can hear you,
okay.
Saurav. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, coming to Nilanjan's question about retaining.
Yes, Saurav. Do you want me to repeat that question for you?
No, I read it. No problems with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a Microsoft upgrade tool perspective, all your data will come to Business Central, irrespective of whatever version you are coming from. If there is a redesign happened in the application, let me give you some example. Like from NAV 2013 onwards, Microsoft have a new different style of how dimensions are stored. Or in Business Central 14 or NAV 2018, somewhere there, Microsoft redesigned how product groups are saved. So the upgrade toolkit redesigns that data to the newer structure as supported into the target version. But all your data, millions of rows, no worries. Everything will come to Business Central on-prem or cloud, right? Now, how much it'll cost you? That depends on your database size. So Microsoft has a limit when you buy Business Central Cloud of how big your database is, and then you pay for extra database space. But let me share a very recent upgrade that we did for a customer who was on 3.7, and we brought them to Business Central SaaS as is with all their data. And it was a pretty big database. It was 1.5 terabyte. It was a pretty good database size, and all that was possible during a weekend. So I can say with utmost certainty that all your data can come to Business Central SaaS if you are ready to pay for the extra space that you will require on Business Central SaaS. The number of rows, the number of record does not matter. Initially, Microsoft had some limitation of how big the database can be if you are on Business Central Cloud, but that limit has been removed. So now you can bring every NAV customer to Business Central Cloud as is.
All right, thank you so much, Nilanjan. Saurav, I think there's a little bit of connectivity issue from your end. Your voice is breaking a bit for me, right?
Just give me a
Just
moment. Let me realign my desk. Maybe there is some internet issue. Just give me a moment. One
no
moment.
problem, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, Saurav.
Sorry, I had to
Oh,
reboot
Ravinder.
myself.
Okay. No, Ravinder is saying then it has to be my internet then. So Ravinder was saying your connectivity is okay.
Yeah,
My bad.
mine was fine.
Maybe that'll be my net also. It's a bit wonky today. But yeah, but thank you for the confirmation there, Ravinder. Right. So we have more questions coming in. It seems to be it's going to be a busy day for you, Saurav.
Not
Right.
a
So we
problem.
have a question coming from Miss Punita. Hi, recently I upgraded from NAV 2016 to BC 2016. During this period, I got my disk space and RAM increased. Where are the requirements of those? What are the requirement of those during upgrade? Also, we saw that change log entries are taking much time, and are there any other process to stop log entries?
Okay. So it's a multi-part question. Let's start taking it one by one. Okay. The first
Right.
one is my disk space and RAM increase. So let's understand it from this perspective that what happens during upgrade. So during upgrade, whenever you run a Microsoft step, it moves all your data that need to be redesigned into something called as a temp structure behind the scene in SQL. And then after the redesigning is done, it moves it back to the newer structure. Now, during that process, what happens is your database file grows because for those temp table, it actually need to add those extra tables into your disk so that the data can be moved. So will your disk space will reduce? Yes, your disk space will reduce, right? But what you can do is after every major step, oh sorry, let me go a step before. Whenever you start upgrade, make sure that you set your database recovery model to simple. Now that's a SQL setting. What happens with that SQL setting that it doesn't retain much into your log file because your disk space, if you look very closely, your log increases drastically the log file of SQL database. So before you start your upgrade, make sure to change the recovery model to simple. And then after every major step, if you have a disk space issue, you can shrink your data file and log file to whatever the space that is empty, because it's gonna grow during upgrade. Now, is there a requirement during upgrade? Microsoft cannot define that guideline because that very much depends on your database size. If your database size is very small, you'll not end up in an issue where your space is being consumed. If your database size is big, then it's our recommendation is to have multiple data files split into multiple drives, and then log should be kept separately because it surely grows with every step. And then shrinking log file after every major step is very important because that frees up that space, and it hardly takes a second. You just need to go to SQL Server, right click on your database and say shrink log file. Now, about the RAM increase. Now, the RAM increase majorly happens because of SQL. Now, SQL behaves in a way that it allocates the memory that it needs, and then it doesn't release it after it is done. That's how SQL behave, always. So for that, what you'll have to do is, again, after every major milestone in your upgrade, let's say you run a conversion process or a upgrade step, make sure to restart your SQL Server. As soon as you restart your SQL Server, SQL releases all the memory that it have kept with itself, and then starts from the minimum memory that it needs. And on SQL Server, you can configure how much memory or what is the minimum and the max memory that SQL can utilize from your RAM. So you need to define those parameters, and then every time you shrink a log file, also restart your SQL Server. That'll bring your RAM back to normal uses of it, right? The best case scenario for this is always use an Azure upgrade server, because you can extend the resources when at runtime, and you only get charged for amount of time that you use that server. So it's easier for these bigger kind of processes if you use Azure servers. That always makes sense, because you can't go to market and buy a new RAM just for an upgrade. But in Azure, you can add additional memory or space as needed. Okay, now Punita, if I'm spelling correctly, also said that we see a lot of time spent into change log entries, and if there any other process to stop log entries. Okay, so there are two parts, I guess, of this question. One is about change log entries taking a lot of time during upgrade, and it seems to me that change log entries are also being created. Now, it's not a step written in Microsoft code, Microsoft steps, but it's a best practice to stop your change log for all the companies before you start your upgrade, because there are multiple changes that are happening during your upgrade, and you don't want to log those changes. That's just part of your upgrade. As far as change log is taking a lot of time to upgrade, that question I'll take in two ways. If your customer is going to Business Central Cloud, or if you're going to Business Central Cloud as a customer, you need to be very clear that change log entries are not going to cloud. Microsoft does not take your change log entries from Business Central on-prem to cloud. So it's better to drop them before you start your upgrade. I know change log entries are very important for editing purposes and all, and you should always have a backup of your database and use it. But your change log entries are not going to Business Central Cloud. So you don't need to waste all that upgrade execution time to update change log entries, because they will only be staying till on-prem. Now, let's suppose, yes, you are going to on-prem and you want to keep them. Then there is no other way. And the reason behind that is there has been multiple changes which impact change log entry in Business Central version. What you can do internally as a customer, you can talk internally and say, okay, how long we would like to keep change log entries. There are auditing requirement, legal requirement against change log entries, and the max that I have seen is 5 years. So if you see any changelog entry beyond 5 years from today, just go ahead and delete them after internally you have talked, right? And you can easily do it from SQL Server by applying a filter on changelog entries. So don't take junk forward because it'll just add as an overhead if you're going to cloud. If you're on on-prem, understand how long you want to retain it, and then just keep them that much. And rest of it, there are other specific scenarios that I guess, not to be discussed in this meeting, but there are scenarios like this.
Awesome. So thanks again, Punita, for that wonderful question, and I hope Saurav was able to answer that for you. Right. So, yeah, you're welcome, Punita, on behalf of Saurav.
No, no.
Right. So, we have another question from Mr. Riyadh. Do we really need a partner license for the on-prem upgrades or migrations?
Okay. So I might be wrong from a version perspective, but somewhere around version 22 or 23, Microsoft made it very clear that you don't need a partner license if you are on Business Central, let's say version 22 or some specific version, to upgrade to another Business Central version. Okay. I did test it out, and the video is available again on YouTube, that you don't need a partner license to do an upgrade once you are on a specific Business Central version. You can do it with your customer license as is, if you know how to do it, and then live with it. There's no partner license requirement to do an upgrade. There's nothing specific that needs a partner license. In NAV, partner license was required because the upgrade toolkit was placed in a number series, which was not added into the customer license. And it was a pretty technical activity to do upgrades back then. So that's the reason to run those objects. Microsoft had mandated to have a partner license to do the upgrade. Now the upgrade code units and upgrade routine are part of the extension. So base app has its own upgrade routine. System app has its own upgrade routine, and each app has their own upgrade routine. So there is not a separate partner license requirement to execute the upgrade on-prem. Yes, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Riyadh. Next question from Nikhil Gurjar. Mr. Nikhil, so how long should we plan for this migration process approximately? Let's say medium complexity with about 9 years of data. Over to you, Saurav.
Okay, so Nikhil, can you just also add in chat what version you are starting from, because that gives you a very, that'll help me to kind of answer it better. What version you are saying it from? So yeah, till the point Nikhil answers it, as in the starting version. Let's put it this way: medium complex. So upgrade, you need to split it into two parts. One is an object merge activity, and the other is a data migration activity. What we have been talking about till now is majorly data migration. The first activity before you start data migration is to do an object merge from your current version to the future version that you're going. And based on Microsoft steps, you might have to kind of introduce intermediate version, right? Now, medium complexity data with 9 years of data, and I'm just taking an assumption because there's no comment yet. I'm assuming BC 14 and going to BC 27. With medium complexity, you still have to do 1 and 2 merge, that's separate, and then you're talking about migration. 9 years of data. Now, I don't know, 9 years of data means how big a database. So I'm again taking an example of, let's say, 100 GBs, right? And I'm again assuming India localization, because all these factors play a very key role. I'm also assuming that they are not using APIs. So here is an example that I'm building: BC14 with India localization, 50 GB of database, and no API integration that's being used in DC14. From a migration perspective, and I'm also making an assumption that it's a Business Central on-prem. Sorry, lot of assumptions. But the whole activity should not take more than 16 hours on the first run. Okay, so once you're on Business Central 14, and I'm just assuming these parameters at this now. Business Central 14, India localization, no API integration uses, no ISV involved, and the target version is BC 26 or 27 on-prem. Will take you approximately 16 hours for the first run. Now, why I'm mentioning first run is because the first run is the situation where you end up seeing all your issues that you have with the data, and then subsequent run automatically reduces that time because you know how to solve those problems and you have baked in those solutions into code. So hopefully with these assumptions, I was able to answer Nikhil's question. But yeah.
Fortunately, there's no comment from Nikhil, but feel free to follow up on the chat if you're still here, Nikhil. All right then, Saurav. Moving on to our next question. Right. So again, I believe this is something that you would have also been hearing a lot, during your chats with the folks out there, right? So, should an organization choose between upgradation or a full re-implementation while moving?
Yeah, that's a very good question, I guess, because and there is a lot of confusion in the market around it. The upgrades versus re-implementation, what I should be choosing, right? Now, okay, let's look at it from this perspective. Upgrade is a natural progression when you are in a particular product, right? So you're using your phone. If you receive a message says your update is due, what are you going to do? You're going to buy a new phone? No, you're going to click a button which will upgrade it to the latest software requirement that you have. So upgrade is a natural progression which brings all your historical data to the latest version. It's just living a normal life, right? I wake up today morning, I found on my computer that there's an update pending. I click on update and it updates it. If you think from a Business Central SaaS perspective, that's what's happening. You get a notification on your email saying, oh, there's an update that's scheduled for tonight. You say, okay, or you don't even say, okay. And in the night, it goes and executes the upgrade for you. So upgrade, even from NAV versions, even from back 3.7, the upgrade is a natural progression to the future. Now let's talk about what is re-implementation and when should you choose it. Think about re-implementation equivalent to when you started using NAV or Business Central. Whatever questions your partner have asked you about your opening balances, your master records, your setup values, you'll have to do all that activity again. One, plus you will lose access to all your historical data. Existing NAV or Business Central customer normally opt in, or it's a I have discussed it with a lot of people. It's only suggested to do a re-implementation if you start performing your business differently. Let's say I was doing X and starting from April 1st, I'll be doing something else. Or I want to change my costing methods on my item. Or I know that due to a customization that was done last year ago, a lot of my ledgers has been corrupted. In those kind of scenario, upgrades will not help because it will bring that junk as it is to Business Central Cloud or Business Central SaaS on-prem. In those scenarios, that's a very real use case of saying, okay, let's do re-implement because either your data is corrupted or you want to use the product because you have changed the businesses in a different way. Because you are not able to delete customers once you have transactions and so on and so forth, right? So if there is complete shift of how you are doing things, or if you have corrupted data because of a bad customization, then re-implementation becomes a very good use case in Business Central. Update is a normal use case. In NAV Word, it was 5-7 years. Now it's more frequent, but it's more easier also.
Got it, Saurav. Uh, we have another question from Mr. Vaibhav Saurav. I
Mhm.
believe it's follow up to your previous point. He says, but if any other third party applications which we have installed directly into our system, so that time what we have done. Uh, you want to take that up, Saurav?
I'm trying to read the earlier question so that I can get the context around it. There's no earlier question, right, from Webab? No.
Not exactly, Saurav. Yeah. Do you want to maybe reframe the entire point of Vaibhav so that Saurav can pick it up
Yeah.
from there?
Yeah. So, Webab, if you can sum up it again with a complete question, I'll be happy to answer that. But let's move to the another one till then.
Right. So we have a question from Jennifer Thomas. Ms. Jennifer, wouldn't this entire migration process be expensive? Any idea on how much is it going to cost? I was actually expecting this question, to be honest. Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, Jennifer, as I said earlier, this is going to be your last big upgrade, not from an time perspective, but also from a cost perspective, right? Now, how much it is going to be cost varies from partner to partner that you work with, for sure, based on their hourly rate, based on their upgrade experience, based on how much they know it's, how many hops they have to take. Like, for example, in this DNA and age, we use a lot of AI to do most of the tasks automatic, not from a migration perspective, but from a merge perspective, because that's majority of the time where it gets spent on an upgrade is on merge. You know, now migrations are not that expensive. It sounds a little bit weird, but migrations are something that you can very easily estimate. The time consuming part on an upgrade is your code merge from your legacy version to your future version. Now, let's take an example, and we did this exercise internally that based on our estimation sheet, we said, okay, let's assume a customer is on vanilla. They are not using any customization, they are not using any ISV. And for example, we took NAV 2009 and they want to come to Business Central. How much our estimation sheet can bring down to? And now this is not a comment to any other partner. Okay, this is just based on how we do it and what analysis it boils down to. So not from a number perspective, but and we took some guess estimates around 100 GB of database size and other factors. We fill in into those into our estimation sheet. It came down to 48 hours to do two migrations from NAV 2009 to latest Business Central without any customization, without ISV. What this tells you is migration is not something that takes a lot of time. What takes time is your customizations and your ISVs. Now, there are, and this is may not be for this question, but from a general perspective, there are other styles of upgrade that you can follow where you can retain your data, but let's say did not bring your customization or drop your ISVs. But you bring all your Microsoft data to the future. So when you think about from a cost perspective, it'll be incorrect to say it for on behalf of other partners, but what takes majority of time is not the migration. What takes majority of time is your code merge. Hopefully this gives you some clarity, and I guess then you can later on discuss with Rahul of how of how it takes, right, or how much it takes.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I believe we have a follow-up question to that, Mr. Saurav. We have one question from Ms. Shruti. Uh, is any maintenance required after the so
Okay.
I was asking club this up, wrap this up with my question as well, right? So I'm going to combine this, right? Like
Okay.
once the entire process is done, you do your due diligence, right? You have, your budget ready and so on, right? So how is the maintenance going to happen after this, Sarah?
All right. Yeah, because I have seen some things in last 14, 15 years of me doing upgrades and learn something from a customer's perspective. Because upgrades has been a little bit expensive in NAV world. It's a normal approach from customers, assuming that upgrade will solve all their problems, right? Upgrade will solve all their locking issues. Upgrade will solve whatever performance issues they have. Believe me, Shruti, or anyone else in this meeting, upgrade is not going to solve any of your problems. Sounds weird, but listen to me on this one. An upgrade is a process which brings all your legacy data and customization as is to the future version. There is no partner until unless they bake it into their contract are spending time in rewriting or refactoring your customization to a modern structure. And believe me, even if they want to, your upgrade will go for a very long time. It's from a partner perspective, it's not expected to do a refactor or rewrite of all your customizations during the upgrade, because it increases the length of the project, it increases the cost of the project. And when a customer asks me, I typically tell them that don't either assume this, and even if you have money, don't bake it into the upgrade. Upgrade is itself a pretty big project. You should not add more into it. So what should you be doing when you complete your upgrade? Give it 3-4 months to settle down. Let users training be happening. Let them understand it. Let a few months, month end are completed. Once you are settled in for 6 months or so, then talk to a partner about optimization of your system. We have upgraded a customer last year from to business. Started a performance enhancement project with them. Now, what does that project does? What it does is any customization that is written for them, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, from developers easy to understand what customizations you have.
Am I audible to you, Saurav?
Yeah. Are you guys losing me again? Are you guys losing me again? Can you hear me now? Oh man. Can you hear me again? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Anyone else? Rahul, you are muted if you're saying something. Rahul, you're muted if you're saying something. Rahul, you're
Sorry to interrupt, Saurav. Please go on. So I think it has to be my internet, but I'm so sorry for
not a
interrupting.
problem. But I keep moving my chair towards the router, okay? So sorry if my background is changing, but I'm just keeping towards my router every time you're saying I cannot hear you.
It's got to be my internet today. Like I said, there's something wrong with my net today. My apologies to the audience for this. But yeah, please carry on, Saurav.
Yeah. So let's come back to what you're talking about, Shruti's question. Yeah. So with AL, there are a lot of built-in tools that even users, key users, normal users, can identify areas where system is slow or where there is a problem. And it kind of enables user to give more context to developer so that he can understand where the problem is. And because it's an extension model, these tools will tell you which extension have problem. Now, if the custom extension that is built for you by your partner has a problem, the partner will be able to solve it easily. And if it is from a Microsoft app or a third-party app, the partner will be able to report that as an issue to Microsoft or third party. So you should your performance improvement typically 3 to 6 months after your upgrade is over. And it's something that users or customer will understand, but there is a concept called as technical debt. Now the technical debt is how old is your code. Now what does that mean, how old is your code? Because it's working, so it's okay. With every 6 month or even on minor hotfixes where Microsoft is introducing new tool set which makes your code more, don't clear out that technical debt with your code, you are kind of carrying through that technical debt as long as you don't kind of refactor code. So from a maintenance perspective, one thing that you should surely do is make sure to have a performance optimization project with your partner after your upgrade is completed. And then the only maintenance that you need is where your partner make sure that any code that has been redesigned by Microsoft, if it is impacting your customization, the only effort from an upgrade perspective, and I'm speaking from SaaS perspective, is to refactor that code which will cause problem because Microsoft. We hope answer.
Thank you so
Let's
much
move to
for the question. Yeah. So we have one more question from Riyadh. This may be slightly outside. So you can answer towards the end. No worries at all, Riyadh. We welcome all questions here. Right. So in a fresh Business Central installation with a new SQL database, what is the minimal set of extensions required beyond the application base, business, and system extensions to access the latest features?
Now that's a very interesting question. And Riaz, this is something that you can do on-prem, okay? And I've tested this out. Now think about Business Central as a platform, okay? I don't want to use any Microsoft entity. The minimum extension that you need if you don't want to do anything from Microsoft ecosystem is just to install the system application, and you're good with it. Now the next necessity that you might have is to use the system. One is system application extension, one is system extension. System comes by default, and then you install system application, which brings in most of the feature, blob management, security, and other things that comes with the system application. You can actually live with that. You can actually build your whole PTE or a extension for a specific purpose without even with the base application and what we call that foundation. Now, if you talk from a Business Central perspective, yes, you need application, system application, base application, and foundation. These are the 4 core apps that you need to run Business Central. Other than that, I typically suggest customer to enable extensions as they need it. So if somebody is using email, I'll recommend them to have an email extension, which is available for free. But what I've seen with some of the projects that I've worked, which have been transitioned from the customer, that people install all sort of extensions. We need to understand, yes, they are available for free, even on-prem, even on cloud, not just on-prem. These the extension that you have, there is a more or there is it'll impact your performance if you have more extension, because an extension adds more to the existing object set from Microsoft, right? Even the extension comes from Microsoft. Let's take an example. From a business and cloud perspective, if your customer is not doing a Shopify integration, what's the point of having Shopify app installed on their environment? It drastically degrades the performance in certain areas just because it's there. And the whole idea of moving from NAV to Business Central is to you get to pick and choose as customer that what extension you need and what you don't. So in NAV world, you did not had an option. You had 6,000 odd objects and you had to have all of them to operate your business. In Business Central, what Microsoft initially started with the base application and then started splitting it into system application and then now foundation, and there is work in progress to split it further. The whole idea is to keep your application so lean that it gives you optimal performance. So don't just start, installing all the extensions that are available with the demo environment if you're on cloud, or with the demo DVD if you're on on-prem. Just install extension what you as a customer need, and then if there is a need raised in future, you can just go to app source if you're on cloud, or on-prem, your partner or you can install that app from the product DVD anytime. Okay.
Thank you so much, Riyad, again.
Thank
you. I think, Saurav, we have almost come towards the end of the session, right? But again, for everyone who joined the call today, thank you so much. It means a lot. And thanks again, Saurav, for taking your valuable time to join today's session. And I hope everyone had an insightful session. I personally enjoyed this quick chat with you today. Let's, connect more often, right? This is like super amazing, right? For all the folks out there who missed out on any questions, you can reach out to us on info@2hatslogic.com. And I'm sure post you exit the meeting, you will be redirected to a different page. So any questions that we might have missed out on, please feel free to fill the form and reach out to us. Again, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Saurav. It was wonderful having you here today. Have a very good rest of the afternoon, and let's connect again soon.
Sure, man. Thank you. Anytime. Let me know, guys, if there are questions. As Rahul said, add them into the pool. I would love to talk about updates any day, anytime, whenever needed. And as much as I can help, I'll be happy to. Okay. Thank you, Rahul, for having me here.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Saurav, again. Take care. Bye.